these Sora 2 videos are going viral on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. That's why I built this app that automatically generates these videos and publishes them in all of your social media channels completely on autopilot. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build the system step by step so you can start producing viral videos, gain thousands of followers, and turn your social media into a revenue printing machine completely on autopilot. So if that sounds interesting, let's get started. Now the first thing that we have to do is to build our backend automation in N8N. And then once we do that, we will build a simple and nice looking front-end interface with Lovable so the final user can use it from there. Now the first thing that we have to do in N8N is to obviously add in our trigger, for which I'm going to select a scheduled trigger node. And the reason I'm choosing to use a scheduled trigger node and not any other trigger is because I want to set this automation to run automatically every day, so we can post a completely brand new video in our social media every day. And specifically, I will actually come over here and put in the time at 6 PM, since that is the time I have found that most of my audience is active, and I would suggest you to do the same. And then you can simply come over here and click off of this node. Now the next thing that we have to do is to create some ideas that we're going to use for our videos. And to do that, I would advise you to use ChatGPT. Specifically, we could come over to ChatGPT and say something like, give me 10 video ideas in the form of a Google Sheet, so I can simply copy and paste them. They need to be for shorts, and they need to have potential to go viral. They also need to seem authentic and like they were generated by a human, because I'm going to generate these shorts with Sora AI. So make sure you actually give me some good ideas. And then you can simply come over here and click on enter. And now what ChatGPT is going to do, it is going to go and it's going to give you a list of ideas, as you can see over here. And boom, as you can see, gave us the ideas in a way that if we simply come over here and we copy them, and then we go over in a Google Sheet that I created, which has two columns, one that is called ideas and one that is called status. And as you can see, I have already some pre-filled ideas over here since I tested this automation before. But all you would have to do is to simply create a Google Sheet that has these two columns, and then simply come over here and paste in all the ideas that you just copied over here. And boom, as you can see, they populate for us automatically. And you can obviously tell ChatGPT to give you even more ideas. You can tell it, oh, give me 100 ideas, give me 200. So you can basically have a lot over here, so you don't have to redo this process again and again. But once we're done inputting the ideas, we basically have all of them over here in a Google Sheet. And our Google Sheet, as you can see over here, it's called Video Ideas. So what we can do now is come back over to N8N, click on the plus icon and search for Google Sheets. And specifically, we need to come over here, select Get Rows in Sheet. Now, first of all, we need to come over here, select our Google Sheets credentials. If you don't have credentials, simply come over here and sign in with your Google account. Then operation, make sure this is on Get Rows, since we actually want to retrieve information from inside a Google Sheet. And then over here in the document, make sure you actually come and select the Google Sheet that you have saved all of your ideas to, which is called Video Ideas. And then over here in the sheet, simply select the sheet number. But now, if I actually come over here and execute the step, you'll see this gives us back 20 items, which are all the 20 ideas that we have inputted inside our Google Sheet. But that is not what we want, because we don't want to generate all the videos at once. We want to generate one each day and automatically posting it in our social media. So to do that, we need to come over here and click on Add Filter, and then we need to come over here and select the second column that we created in our Google Sheet, which is called Status, which, as you can see over here, right now it is completely empty. And that is because we haven't generated any video from all of these ideas. Because the purpose of this column is, every time we generate a video with this idea, let's say, the system will automatically come over here and type in the word yes, or any other word you might want. You might want the word done. Basically needs to input a word, so we know that we have actually generated the video for this idea. Since we haven't done this for this idea yet, I will simply delete it, but I think you get the point. So what we need to filter with is status, and we're going to say if status, and then we will turn this into an expression, is equal to, and then we're going to type in this very short snippet of code, which is basically if status is empty, as you can see over here, so nothing is inside the column status, then this is going to be true and it's going to return us the rows. But that's still going to return us all the rows that the status doesn't have a word inside. Well, what we also need to do is to come over here, click on Add Option, and then we need to select Return Only First Matching Row. And then we simply need to come over here and enable this option, because if I right now come over here and execute the step, you can see that this only returned me one item, which is the first idea that doesn't have anything inside the status column, which is exactly what we wanted. And once we do this idea and we update the status, then when this runs again, it's not going to retrieve this idea, it's going to retrieve the next idea that we have inside of Google Sheets. So that's how you need to set up your Google Sheets node. And now what we have to do is to actually go and create the prompt that we're going to give over to Sora in order for it to generate us the video. And how we're gonna do that is by clicking on the plus icon and searching for an AI agent. And the reason I'm using an AI agent and not a simple LLM is because I want to use the Think tool, and you will see why in a bit. But for now, the first thing that we have to do is to come over here and change this from connect to chat trigger node to define below, and then over here in the user message we need to specify exactly what we want our agent to do. So for this example, I will actually increase the size of this and I will type, "You're an AI that generates video prompts for short form viral content. Here's the video idea that I want you to do." And then I will simply take in the schema that includes the video idea and drag and drop it over here. Then I give it some instructions about the output that it should give me. I basically tell it to give me a title, a description, and a prompt, which is what we're going to use to generate the video with Sora. Then I give it some guidelines, and then I give some examples about different video types. Now don't worry, because if you want this full prompt, along with the JSON for the full automation that we're going to build in this video, you can click the link in my description and join my brand new free school community, where I have all the assets from all the videos that I have done in my channel. So again, join the free school community and you will have access to this full prompt. So now all I have to do is to simply come and close this off, and what we need to do is to obviously add in a chat model. Now for this example, I will actually choose to go with OpenAI. You can obviously select any chat model that you want. Now the first thing you need to do is to come over here and select your OpenAI credentials. If you do not have credentials, click on create new credential, and then over here you need to input your API key. Now to create an API key, go over to platform/OpenAI/API keys. I will leave a link for it in the description below as well. And then simply come over here, click on create new secret key. Then come over here and give it a name. I will name this example, and then I will come over here and click on create secret key. And boom, as you can see, our API key has been generated. So all I have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then I can come back over to N8N and simply paste it in over here, and then simply come over here and click on save. And boom, as you can see, our API key has successfully been saved, which means that now you will be able to come over here and select your OpenAI credentials. And then for tomorrow, I will leave this on GPT 4.1 mini. Then what I also want to do is come over here in the tools and search for the Think tool, which is the reason I chose to use an AI agent to begin with. And the reason I chose to do that is because the Think tool basically tells the AI agent to pause, take a moment, and rethink of the response that it's going to give us, which indeed makes it give a better result. That's why I think that every last one of you should be using the Think tool in all of your AI agents. And then the last thing that we need to configure in the AI agent, if I actually open this up, is we need to turn on the require specific output format option. And that is because when we do that, this brand new option over here opens up, which is called an output parser, which what this does is basically allows us to tell to the AI model exactly how we want it to output the data. For the vast majority of automations you build, you will only need a structured output parser, so make sure you come over here and select that. And then what we need to do is to type in a very short snippet of code that tells the AI agent exactly how we want it to output the data. Now do not get intimidated by this, you will not have to write any code yourself. All you have to do is to simply come over here and delete this, go over to any LLM model and explain to it exactly how you want it to output the data, and tell it it needs to do it in JSON, and it's going to give you a short snippet of code. Then all you have to do is to simply come over here and paste it in. Or you can simply just join the free school community, and this snippet of code is going to be included inside the template for this full automation. So now that we did that, we are basically done with our AI agent. So now if I come over here and execute this, you can see that the AI agent has started running and it's thinking right now. And boom, if I actually open this up, we can see that we do in fact have an output over here with a title, a description, and a prompt that we can give to Sora AI so it can generate the video that we want. So now that we have done all of these things, let me actually come over here and click on the P button in my keyboard in order for me to actually pin this data, since I don't want to have to rerun this if something goes wrong. And now it's time we actually go and generate the video with Sora AI. And now you might say, Damian, how are we actually going to be able to do that? Well, it's actually pretty simple. All we have to do is to simply come over here and search for an HTTP request. And the reason we're using an HTTP request and not any other node is because there doesn't exist a native Sora integration inside N8N, at least at the moment of this recording. That's why we need to hit a third-party API in order for us to be able to use Sora too. And that third-party API is going to be Key API, which is a very well-known API that a lot of people really like because it is very cheap compared to some other alternatives. Now, the first thing that you have to do is to come over here and click on your profile and then click on market. And then you will need to come over here and click on billing and actually add in some credits with your credit card. Since this is a paid service, guys, we're hitting third-party APIs, which does cost some money, so make sure you add in some credits. But just so you get a rough estimate of the cost, the videos that we're going to generate with Sora only cost 20 cents to produce. So if you add in $5, you will have more than enough in order for you to be able to generate multiple videos. And once you do that, you can simply come back over here to the model market and then come over here in video generation, select text to video, and then if you scroll down here, you will be able to see the Sora 2 model. So simply come over here and click on it, and then you will be brought over in the playground where you can manually come over here and use the Sora tomorrow if you actually want. But we don't want to do that because what we want to do is to use their API. So make sure you come over here and select API. And now this interface opens up. Now do not get intimidated by this, guys. This is actually super simple to navigate. All you have to do is to scroll all the way down here to where you are able to see this CURL request and simply come over here and copy all of it. And then simply come back over to N8N, click on import CURL, simply paste in the CURL you just copied and click on import. And boom, the full automation is going to populate for you automatically, and there are some very minor changes you need to make. Now the first thing that you need to do is to authenticate yourself. And how you're able to do that is by coming over here and inputting your API key. Or there's an even better way to do it in my opinion, which is to save these credentials inside N8N so you don't constantly have to come over here and input your API key every time you want to use Key API. So to do that, simply come over here to authentication, select generic credential type, then come over here, select header auth, and then come over here, click on create new credential. For the name, you need to type in authorization exactly as I have typed it over here with a capital A, because otherwise this is not going to work. And for the value, let me actually turn this into an expression so you can actually take a look at it. You need to type better space, so it should be better with a capital B space, and then come back over to Key AI and then click on API key, create a brand new API key. I will name it key, and then click on create, then simply copy that API key and come back over to N8N and paste it in over here, and then click on save. And boom, as you can see, our credentials were successfully created. Now make sure you actually don't send this API key with anyone. I will delete mine before uploading this video, and then you can simply come close this off and you can actually delete the header parameters since you have already authenticated yourself from over here. And then we have the JSON body, which is the part that everyone starts losing their mind because they're like, oh Damien, this is super technical, I don't know how to do, I'm not a coder. Don't worry guys, you will not have to write any code yourself. All you have to do is to simply open this up, and the first thing you have to do is to come over here to where you see it says prompt, simply delete the fake dummy prompt that right now exists inside these two quotes, and then take in the schema that includes your own unique prompt and drag and drop it inside these two quotes over here. And the only other change we need to make is we need to change the aspect ratio. Specifically, we need to change this from landscape over to portrait mode, exactly as it is typed inside the docs. So simply come back over to N8N, delete this and type in portrait. Now if you want to configure the other settings, you can go over to the docs, take a look at them because they tell you exactly how you can configure them. But for this example, we basically have everything set up and good to go. So all we have to do now is to simply come over here and execute the step. And boom, as you can see, we successfully sent a request over to KAI in order for it to use Sora to generate us our video. And what I'm going to do is I will actually pin this as well, because this node actually does cost money every time we run it. So we don't want to have to rerun this again if something goes wrong. And then what we need to do is to simply come over here and wait for a specific period of time till the video is done generating. And I would actually advise you to do this for like 120 seconds, which is around 2 minutes. So I'll set this at 120 seconds. Alright, and now that that time passed, what we need to do is to retrieve our generated video back in our N8N interface. So to do that, I will come over here and I will search for an HTTP request. And how we need to configure this is we need to come back in KAI's docs, and this time we need to come over here in the API endpoints and change this from create a task to query a task, because we want to get what we have already generated back in our N8N interface. And as you can see, see, the first thing that we see over here is a CURL, which means that all we have to do is to simply come over here and copy it, and then come back over to N8N, click on import CURL, simply paste this source snippet of code inside and click on import. And boom, this populates the vast majority of the settings for us automatically. Now we still do need to make some slight changes, but the vast majority of the work has already been done for us. Now the first change we need to make is we need to input the task ID over here. So we simply need to come over here and delete this fake dummy value, and then simply take in the task ID that we have over here and drag and drop it over here. And then what we need to do is to also authorize ourselves. But since we have already saved our authorization credentials, we can simply delete this and then simply come over here to authentication, select generic credential type, select header auth, and then simply come over here and select the credentials that were generated before, which means that we are done setting up this node, and all we have to do is to come over here and execute this, and boom, as you can see, this was successful. But the state of this is it is still generating, and that is because I actually did not wait the 2 minutes. I actually set this to 1 second just to show you what would happen if this was not yet done generating. And how we can troubleshoot this is we need to come over here and add in an if node. And the reason we're adding an if node is because we want to check whether this is done generating or not. So how we're going to be able to do that is we're going to have to take the schema that's called state, drag and drop it over here, and then we're going to say if this equals to generating exactly as it is typed over here, then if we execute the step, this is going to be true, which means that our video is not ready yet and is still generating. So what I'm going to do is I will take in this branch and bring this all the way back over to the wait node, which what this basically means is if the video is not yet done generating, it will wait again 2 minutes and then it is going to check again. And if it is still not finished, then it's going to wait another 2 minutes and then it's going to check again. And this is going to happen till the video is done generating, which then will allow us to continue the automation with this full branch over here. So now if I come back over here and I execute the step, we can see that this did change and says success, which means that our video is fully done generating. So now if I execute the if node, you will see that this is going to be false and we can move on with the rest of our automation. And now the first thing that we need to do is to come over here and search for an edit fields node. And the reason we're using an edit fields node is because, as you can see over here, we do have a result that also includes the URL to our video, but it is inside this weird block of text. Now I don't know why KAI does this, but since it gives us this weird link, we actually need to transform it so we only have the link that includes our video. And how we're going to be able to do that is by clicking over here, giving this a name, let's say link for example, and then over here in the value, let me turn this into an expression. You need to type this source snippet of code. Now you don't really have to understand how this came about, simply screenshot this, give it over to ChatGPT and it's going to give you the text, or join the free school community and get the full template. And then you will see that if I actually come over here and execute the step, this only gives me back the link to my video, which we can actually see in our PC right now.
Hey, easy there, buddy. It's okay. Let's get you out of this. There we go. You're safe now. Warmth feels better, huh?
And boom, that does look very good, guys. Obviously, you can change the story based on the ideas that you input inside the Google Sheet, but I would say this does look very good. So now what we have to do is to take this video and upload it over to all of our social media. So how we're going to be able to do that is by coming over here searching for an HTTP request. And the reason we're searching for an HTTP request is because we want to natively download the video inside N8N. And how we're going to be able to do that is by taking the schema, dragging and dropping it over here, and then basically changing nothing else. We'll leave the method on get and we make no other changes. So if I come over here and execute the step, you can see that this successfully does download the video inside our N8N interface. And now all that's left is to actually go over and upload it in all of our social media. And to do that, I'm actually going to use a node that is called Upload Post. And what Upload Post is basically a third-party API service that allows you to upload videos and images in all of your social media. Now I do want to preface this is an N8N verified node, which means that you do need to go inside your N8N control panel and enable the community nodes if you have not done this yet, and then you will be able to see this node. Then simply click on install and then you will see these options exactly as I'm seeing them right now. Then all you have to do is to come over here and select upload a video. Now the first thing that you have to do is to come over here and select your upload post credentials. Now if you do not have credentials, simply come over here and click on create new credential. Then you will need to go over to uploadpost.com and create a completely free account, and then navigate over here in the API key section and simply come over here and copy your own API key. After that, simply come back over to N8N and paste in your API key over here and click on save. And boom, our credentials were successfully created, which means that we can close this off. And then what we need to do is leave the operation to upload a video, and over here in the user identifier, what you need to do is to come back over to upload post and click on users, and then scroll all the way down here to where you will be able to see this profile section that has your own unique user identifier name. So make sure you actually come over here and you copy it, and then come back over to N8N and paste it in over here. After that, make sure you actually come over here and you log in all of your social media accounts exactly as you've done over here. Make sure you log in your Instagram, your YouTube, LinkedIn, and whatever you want to post this video on. The only thing that you cannot use in the free plan is TikTok. If you want to upload it over to TikTok as well, you will need to use the paid plan, but for all the other social media platforms, you can use them on the free plan. So once you've done that, you can come back over to N8N, simply come over here, select the platform you want to post this on. Let's say, for example, I want to post this on Instagram, and then come over here, fill in the title, which if you remember, we actually have from our AI agent over here. So I will simply take it and drag and drop it over here. And we also have the caption from our AI agent. So I will take it and drag and drop it over here. And then over here in the video or file URL, what you need to do is to switch over to the binary tab and see the name of your file, which in our case is called data. So what I'm going to do is I will simply come over here and type in data. And now there are some other options that you can configure if you want. I will personally choose to not use any of them, and then we're done setting up this node. And now if you want to also upload it over to TikTok, simply come over here, copy this, paste it over here, simply connect it with the HTTP request, and then just come over here, delete Instagram and change it over to TikTok. And you basically leave all the other settings exactly the same. And what you do is you basically do the exact same thing with YouTube as well. You simply come over here, you delete Instagram, you come over here, you select YouTube, and you basically leave all the other settings exactly as they are right now. And then if you come over here and you execute these nodes, the video is going to be posted in all of your social media. But now I want to show you how we can actually connect this to a very nice looking front-end interface that we can build with an app like Lovable to make whoever is going to use this automation live significantly easier, especially if they're not familiar with a platform like N8N. So to do that, you have to come over to an AI builder like Lovable, which allows us to build very nice looking front-end interfaces with just a few simple text prompts. And then simply come over here and type, I want to build a source generator app. I want you to build me a front-end interface where it has one button when I can turn on or off the automatic video generation. And it also gives the user the option to post it on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And then specifically tell it to build on the front-end interface of the app, because I will build a backend in N8N. Just focus on building a nice looking front-end UI. I want it to be modern with nicer colors, just like this. And what I'm going to do right now is I will go over to Google and search for a nice looking UI, simply find one that I like. Let's say I really like this one, for example, and then I will simply come over here and download it, and then come back over to Lovable, click on attach, upload the file just downloaded, and then come over here and click on enter. This way, Lovable has a visual example of exactly how we want the app to look like, making it way more likely to give us a good end result. And boom, Lovable just finished building a front-end interface, and as you can see, we actually have the option to come over here and turn our automation on, or if we don't want it, turn it off. And we also have the option to select in which social media platforms we want to post this video to. To connect this front-end interface that we built over here, which also does look very good, guys. I think you can see how this does look very clean. With our backend automation in N8N, what we need to do is to simply come back over to N8N, click on the plus icon over here and search for a webhook. And the reason we're choosing to use a webhook and not any other trigger, guys, is because a webhook allows us to connect the backend automation that we build in N8N with a front-end interface that we build with Lovable. And specifically what we need to do is to come over here and change the HTTP method from get over to post, since that is the type of request we're going to be sending over to Lovable. And then we also need to come over here and change from the test URL to the production URL, and then simply come over here and click on top of this link in order for us to copy it in a clipboard. Come over here in the Ask Lovable tab and say something like, make sure you trigger this webhook once every 24 hours at 6 PM specifically, and then simply come over here and paste in the webhook URL you just copied, and then click on enter. And the reason we're doing it this way is because I have found that Lovable is actually able to trigger the automation if we tell it to trigger in a specific time frame. And as you can see, it is telling us to enable the cloud. Simply click on allow, and it's going to go and make all the changes for us. Now the only change that we need to make in N8N is we need to come over here, take in a webhook and connect it with our Google Sheets node over here. Then we can simply delete the scheduled trigger node since we don't actually need it anymore. And then the last thing that we need to do is to come over here, turn on automation from inactive over to active, which means that this can execute automatically without us having to manually come over here and click on execute workflow. And also don't forget to actually come over here and unpin all of this data that we have pinned, since if we have pinned data, our workflow is not going to be able to run. And then simply come over here and click on save. And boom, Lovable just finished making all the changes as well. So now all we have to do is to simply turn this on, select all the social media platforms that we want to post, and our backend automation in N8N is going to go generate the video and also automatically post it in all of our social media. Now if you want access to this Lovable prompt, along with access for the template for this full automation, so you can immediately come over here, click on import from file, upload that file and have the whole automation populated for you automatically. You can click the link in my description and join my free school community where I have all the templates from all the videos that I have made in my channel. And if you want to learn how you can sell these custom systems to business owners and start making real money, you can click the link in my description and join my school community where I have a 100-day roadmap course in which I show you exactly how you can get your first high-paying client in 100 days. And if you don't manage to achieve that, I give you all of your money back guarantee, which means that you basically have nothing to lose. So if you want access to the roadmap along with access to all of the other content that I have inside my premium school community, which also includes exclusive N8N builds that I only publish there, plus if you want to get access to a community of like-minded individuals that are interested in AI and most importantly, making money with it, make sure you click the link in the description and you come and join my paid school community. But also YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this video in which I build a UGC ads generator app using this Lovable N8N. So make sure you go and watch that next, and I will see you over there.